So, WandaVision's first two episodes came out last Friday, and there have been a lot of references and Easter eggs dropped throughout them. I've already done a breakdown of the first episode yesterday, so be sure to check that out. So, in this video, I'll be going into Easter eggs spotted during the second episode, so please click away now if you don't want anything spoiled. So, at the beginning of the episode, we hear some thumping noises, the reason for which will be sort of explained later on in the episode. Wanda takes the opportunity to ask Vision if he's using his night vision, and this is then followed by a not-so-PG inferred scene. The opening credits are pretty much a callback to the Bewitched opening credits. Within the credits, the West View sign says "Home is where you make it," which is pretty much what Wanda has done with her mini-reality, since she created it to have a life and future family with Vision. At around the 3.5-minute mark during the opening credits, there is a bone and the helmet of the Grim Reaper, or Eric Williams, who's a villain from the comics, and he's also the brother of superhero Simon Williams, or Wonder Man. In fact, the silhouette of Wonder Man was shown in a WandaVision featurette. Additionally, you can even say the web next to the helmet can signify Spider-Man, who will be involved with Doctor Strange in their upcoming movies, whereas Doctor Strange will also be interacting with Wanda during Doctor Strange 2. Towards the end of the opening credits, there's also a statue of Thor's winged helmet, possibly referring to Vision picking up Thor's hammer and interacting with him for the first time in Avengers Age of Ultron. During the opening credits, you can also see, when Wanda is in the supermarket, a couple of posters in the back. The first one says "Wonder something," which is a reference to Wonder Man. Following Wonder Man's death in the comics, his memories were preserved by Stark and later used by Ultron to create Vision. The second poster shows Bova milk. Bova in the comics was an anthropomorphized sentient cow, basically with super intelligence, super strength, etc., and she was created by the High Evolutionary, who is rumored to be in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. She basically helped care for Wanda and Pietro after their mother fled from Magneto, and she later gave them to the Maximoffs. She also served as their sort of foster mother. And she's also a cow, so the milk reference does not need to be explained that much. The third sign says Auntie A's kitty litter and shows a cat right next to it. Agatha Harkness in the comics is occasionally called Auntie Agatha, so Auntie A, and she also has an extra-dimensional creature in the form of a cat that is named Ebony. During this sequence, we also catch our first glance at Monica Rambeau. Later on, towards the end of the opening sequence, we see a hexagonal shape being formed by the stars, and this also appears at the end credits. And this could be a reference to Wanda's hex powers. Additionally, relating to the sword beekeeper who shows up toward the end of the episode, the shape of honeycombs are a hexagonal shape, thus tying back to this whole hexagonal motif that is displayed throughout the entire episode. Everyone chanting WandaVision at the same time in the intro could literally be a reference to them being Wanda's puppets in this reality. The Cabinet of Mysteries that Vision uses has the design of the Mind Stone with the beam coming from it, and this could be a reference to Age of Ultron when Vision used the Mind Stone against Ultron, or the Infinity War when Thanos and his minions went after Vision. Close to the 5-minute mark, when Vision is practicing his magic trick with Wanda, he says he will bring her back exactly as she is, and this is pretty much exactly what Wanda did to Vision. Around the 6.5-minute mark and towards the end, at around 29 minutes, the wall to the left of the screen, next to the kitchen, is the same building from Age of Ultron in the opening scene, and is also the same area where the Avengers first encountered the Maximoff twins. When Wanda is investigating the reason for the thudding noise, she discovers that it is a colorful toy helicopter, which is an interesting development given the color grading of the time period the episode takes place in. The helicopter also has the SWORD logo on it. Wanda appears a little worried by this development, and it also seems like the helicopter from the trailer that is surrounding Wanda's little bubble of reality might be connected to this helicopter that she sees. We also see the brooch on Agnes's shirt. This is similar to the brooch on Agatha's costume, and Agnes's brooch seems to have 3 people standing on it. Agnes's rabbit's name is Senor Scratchy. Agatha's son's name in the comics is Nicholas Scratch, who is a skilled wizard, so this could be a reference to that. Throughout the entire episode, there are constant references to kids, children, etc. in the episode, which sets up the pregnancy reveal at the end. At the planning committee, Dottie says the devil's in the details, and Agnes remarks that's not the only place he is, which could be a reference to Mephisto. We also see Geraldine, or Monica Rambeau, who we first saw as a child in Captain Marvel. Her pin on her clothing is the same design as Doctor Strange's portals, and her earring seems to be the same color of her costume, which might be a stretch given the color design of the entire episode. She talks to Wanda and tells her that she doesn't know exactly what she's doing here. So I'm theorizing that since she is a part of SWORD, she entered this pocket reality, but whenever someone enters, they forget who they are unless Wanda loses control, like in the first episode when Mr. Hart was choking, or later on when she's interacting with Dottie. We also hear the "For the Children" chant, not for the first time. Vision's questions about security patrols, law enforcement, etc. refer to the FBI and SWORD both monitoring Wanda. Vision jokes about not eating food since he is an android. He also jokes about Norm being a communist, and considering this episode takes place during a 1960s setting, makes sense given the Red Scare and anti-communism propaganda/sentiment. Also, throughout the entire episode, the only color that is shown is red, and this episode takes place during the Red Scare time period. Vision refers to gum as being only for mastication, to which Herb replies that he does not do that.
Well, my understanding is that it's purely for mastication.
Oh, no, I don't do that.
Vision later swallows the gum, and this is played for laughs as showing that this affects his internal gears, which normally would not make sense, but since this is an alternate reality, makes sense to a degree. Dottie tells Wanda that she's heard stuff about Wanda and Vision, to which Wanda replies that she does not mean any harm, which is true to a certain extent, but Dottie replies with "I don't believe you." At this point, we see Wanda looks hurt and lose a grip on her reality for a second, and this leads to Jimmy Woo, most likely, the FBI agent that we saw in Ant-Man 2, asking Wanda if she can hear him through the radio. This leads to Dottie freaking out over who that is and over who Wanda is, which is probably a result of the actual Dottie from the city breaking through Wanda's faltering facade and being confused over what is going on and where she is. We also see Dottie's hand bleed with the blood showing color, and this is the result of Wanda's control slightly faltering. The advertisement displays Strucker watches and it has the Hydra logo on it. The ad also mentions that Strucker will make time for you, which is a reference to the Time Stone for Doctor Strange, and also a reference to the Mind Stone, which is what gave Wanda and Pietro their powers. Baron Strucker, as you might remember, was in Age of Ultron, and his experiments with the Mind Stone on Wanda and Pietro led to them getting their powers. You can also hear the rapid ticking, which could be a similar ticking to the Stark mortar, which was referenced during the first episode, and the ticking ends with the thud of a cage, which could refer to how Wanda and Pietro were kept captive by Strucker in cells.
Strucker, he'll make time for you.
I watched this for the plot. The plot. Vision also appears drunk as hell due to the gum in his gears. The whole name of Glamour and Illusion, Master of Enigma for Wanda and Vision is a reference to the illusion of reality being put on the residents of Westview, and the fact that Vision actually is an illusion falsely created by Wanda, and the fact that Wanda is the one creating an illusion. Vision says that they will lie to the audience and they will believe the deception, referring to the entire Wanda situation. Vision then starts to show his powers, to which Wanda tries to show the audience that there are actually practical effects that they're using to prevent them from knowing that they are actually doing these checks with their powers, and this seems to work until Wanda converts a piano to a cardboard piano cutout, which Phil notices. Agnes's husband Ralph, who is constantly referenced, seems to me to be Mephisto in disguise. The "For the Children" chant is repeated again at the award ceremony and by Wanda and Vision when they return home.
For the children!
And it was all
For the children.
And this is the segue to Vision pointing out to Wanda that she is pregnant.
Or Wanda.
What?
This is actually the first time we see any quote-unquote children in an entire episode done for the children. This could be a play on the children being introducing mutants into the MCU, but Wanda's children will actually be the first children or mutants that we actually see in the MCU. We hear the thudding again, to which Wanda seems a little on edge and pensive, and when they venture out, they see a beekeeper emerging from the sewer grate. We see the beekeeper emerge with the sword logo on his back, and Wanda seems a little unnerved from this whole situation, especially when they see the faceless shadow of the beekeeper's face as he turns around creepily. We see the most powerful no in existence as Wanda literally reverses time, similar to how Doctor Strange uses his time stone.
No.
When Wanda says no, it's reminiscent of when she reversed the chicken to eggs in the first episode, and since this is possibly a callback to Doctor Strange in the Time Stone, this could be a reference to how Wanda will show up in Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness. We then see Vision and the rest of the frame finally appear in color. We then see the hexagonal shape close out the episode, and then hear the Wanda can you hear me dialogue again and the please stand by screen.
Wanda. Who's doing the C, Wanda?
So here are some extra Easter eggs that I found out while going over episodes 1 and 2 again. So first off, maybe Dottie is Bova. Okay, so hear me out. Dottie with a D, so Doddie, is another name for a cow, and Dottie herself kept saying for the children in the last episode, and considering Bova cared for Wanda and Pietro, this could be a reference to that. Additionally, Yakety Yak, which was sung by Vision in the first episode, was also sung by Arnold in the movie Twins, which came out in 1988, where he played a twin that came from a genetic experiment. This could be a reference to Wanda and Pietro being twins, or the fact that in the MCU they were experimented on with the Mind Stone, which granted them their powers, or it could relate to the fact that Wanda's kids are twins, thus relating to the movie title. So in the second episode, when Vision is performing his magic act with Wanda, he refers to them as Glamour and Illusion. Actually, in the comics, Glamour and Illusion are two magicians who basically pretend to be humans and show that they're performing their magic tricks with practical effects just so they can fit in, which is what the entire plot of the second episode is and what Wanda and Vision were trying to do. Interestingly enough, in the comics, Glamour and Illusion later on even became friends with Wanda and Vision, and their powers and their names, obviously, were hinted at during the entire second episode. And finally, the Beekeeper's suit is similar to the AIM uniforms shown here, and the fact that AIM was in Iron Man 3, whose colors we saw on the helicopter that Wanda noticed earlier. So overall, this was another solid episode. Lots of stuff to break down, lots of Easter eggs and references. The show seems like it will pick up in the next couple of episodes. I can't wait to see how Wanda will unravel, and I somehow hope Quicksilver comes back as well. So if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe and leave your own theories in the comments below. I will be doing a similar video for the rest of the episodes, so stay tuned for those. Until then, thanks for watching.